Sirens wailed, red and blue lights flashing like a bank heist, as 4 police cruisers lined up at the entrance to Marcus Wright's 120-acre ranch outside Austin, Texas. An officer barked through a loudspeaker, "Step away from the gate. This is an official order, Marcus," standing firm behind the newly reinforced steel gate. Didn't flinch. He'd just rebuilt it after a pickup truck smashed through it the night before. But today was different. The Ridgeway Estates Homeowners Association, led by Evelyn Carter, had sued him for blocking public access to a road they'd secretly paved through his cattle pasture, slicing his family's land in two without permission. Marcus raised both hands, his voice calm but razor-sharp. "This is private land. That road is illegal," the officer shouted back. "Open the gate, or we'll force entry." Then, Laura, his wife, emerged from the wooden ranch house, clutching a thick stack of papers, her eyes steady. "I suggest you check the property lines before you make a mistake," she said. A secret was about to unravel that would leave the crowd stunned. "Before we dive deeper into this tale, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and if stories like this resonate with you, consider subscribing to our channel. Tomorrow, we have another special narrative waiting just for you. Marcus Wright, a reclusive black man who'd made his fortune as a construction engineer before retiring early, stepped out of his Bentley Continental GT, his sharp gaze sweeping the gate of his 120-acre ranch outside Austin, Texas. This was his grandfather Samuel Wright's legacy, land bought in the 1950s to build a safe haven for a family and community pushed to society's margins. Marcus, with his expertise in massive projects, took pride in this land where he raised horses and taught local kids about farming. But today, a new asphalt road cut through his cattle pasture, wrecking fences and spooking his livestock. The road, built by the Ridgeway Estates HOA, had no place on any map, no permits, and no approval from Marcus. Evelyn Carter, the HOA president, a 58-year-old white woman with blonde curled hair, wearing a beige business dress and pearl necklace, stood behind the construction crew when Marcus confronted them. "This is a public road," she said, her fake smile barely hiding her arrogance. "It helps fire trucks and school buses move faster. You should be honored." Marcus was stunned. "Honored you built this on my land without asking?" Evelyn shrugged. "Eminent domain laws. Mr. Wright. Look it up." But Marcus overheard a worker mutter, "Someone like him doesn't deserve land this nice." The racial slur cut deep, but he stayed calm, knowing this wasn't just a land dispute, it was a larger scheme. Marcus wasn't one to back down. He'd tackled challenges from brutal work sites to prejudiced stares. He knew Evelyn, backed by her husband, City Councilman Richard Carter, didn't just want the road, they wanted his entire ranch. Marcus got to work. He and Laura, a sharp retired lawyer, dug through records at the county courthouse. They found the 1955 deed, boundary maps, and a key document, a federally approved agricultural lease proving the ranch fell under federal jurisdiction beyond local rules. No permit existed for the HOA's road. Evelyn didn't stop. She spread rumors, branding Marcus a troublemaker and public threat. At HOA meetings, wealthy neighbors eyed him with contempt, whispering about that black guy defying their perfect suburb. One night, Marcus found his fence slashed, with "Get Out" scrawled in red paint. He installed cameras and caught HOA trucks repeatedly crashing through his gate, injuring a mayor. Evelyn even hired a private investigator to dig into his past, hunting for dirt to smear him. But Marcus didn't waver. He called James Turner, an old friend at the Federal Land Management Office, and started building a plan. While combing through records, Marcus uncovered a bombshell. Evelyn and Richard hadn't just targeted his land, they'd forced 3 other black families in the area to sell their properties for pennies through harassment and forged documents. One was Henry Brooks, an elderly neighbor who'd worked cattle with Samuel. Henry's ranch was now a wasteland after the HOA declared it abandoned. Marcus realized this was a systematic racist plot, propped up by Richard's City Hall influence. Marcus reached out to Henry and Maria Lopez, another farmer who'd lost her land to Evelyn's tactics. The three formed an alliance, determined to expose the truth. Marcus hired Anna Chen, a land attorney known for fighting abusive HOAs. Anna found the road violated federal agricultural land laws, and the construction permits were approved with forged documents. She also discovered Richard held shares in the construction company behind Ridgeway Estates, a glaring conflict of interest. Evelyn, sensing the threat, ramped up her smear campaign. She appeared on local news, eyes teary, warning of a dangerous disruptor threatening neighborhood safety. She organized an HOA safety patrol that camped outside Marcus's gate with "Protect Our Community" signs. But Marcus didn't let emotions take over. He added more cameras, catching Evelyn's workers cutting fences and dumping trash on his land. Each night, he logged every violation from trespassing trucks to anonymous threats. Anna contacted reporters from the Austin Times, preparing to go public with Evelyn's scheme. Tensions escalated when Richard used his city council clout to send a barrage of inspectors to the ranch building code enforcers, fire marshals, health officials, all fabricating violations to pressure Marcus. One inspector sneered, "Sell the land, right? You don't belong here." Marcus didn't budge. In the barn, he found Samuel's old journals, chronicling years of helping neighbors through tough times. One line hit hard: "Land is blood and bone. Don't let anyone steal it." Marcus knew he wasn't just fighting for his ranch, he was fighting for a community Evelyn had trampled. Evelyn upped the ante, hiring private security to patrol Marcus's land, who tried sabotaging his gates with bolt cutters. Marcus caught them on camera, and James Turner confirmed it was a federal violation, carrying heavy fines. Anna also found Ridgeway Estates was built on protected agricultural land, but Evelyn and Richard had hidden this to scam funding banks. She contacted the banks, flagging the fraud, piling financial pressure on the HOA. One night, a certified letter arrived from the city they planned to seize Marcus's land through eminent domain for public benefit. Evelyn and Richard were behind it, rushing the process through City Hall. But Marcus was ready. He teamed up with local activists and Austin Times reporters, poised to expose the scheme. Henry revealed his grandson, Daniel Brooks, worked in the state attorney's office and was ready to sue Richard for conflicts of interest. As Marcus checked his gate one morning, he spotted a suspicious pickup truck parked nearby, its driver lurking with bolt cutters. His pulse raced. Evelyn didn't just want his land, she wanted to frame him as a criminal. The pickup truck's engine growled in the pre-dawn darkness, its shadowed driver clutching bolt cutters as Marcus Wright watched from behind his barn. His heart pounded, but he stayed hidden, letting his cameras capture the intruder's every move. This wasn't a random act. Evelyn Carter, with her husband Richard's backing, was escalating her war to frame Marcus as the villain. He sent the footage to James Turner at the Federal Land Management Office, who replied within minutes, "This is a federal offense. They're burying themselves." Marcus nodded to himself, gripping his phone. Evelyn wasn't just after his land, she was desperate to silence him. Back at the old wooden ranch house, the scent of cedar and memories heavy in the air, Marcus sat at the kitchen table, mapping out his next move. His plan was clear block the illegal road permanently, expose Evelyn's racist scheme, and protect his 120-acre ranch. But time was tight. Richard was pushing the eminent domain seizure through City Hall, with a hearing just days away. Evelyn, meanwhile, intensified her smear campaign, hiring a PR firm to paint Marcus as a dangerous recluse threatening the community. Her latest stunt was a local news segment, where she stood in front of Ridgeway Estates, voice trembling with crocodile tears. This man's actions put our families at risk. The racial undertone in her words was unmistakable, stirring whispers among viewers. Marcus met Anna Chen at a quiet diner in Austin the next morning. Anna, a 35-year-old Asian woman with long black hair tied in a high ponytail, wearing a navy blazer and black trousers, slid a thick folder across the table. "Evelyn and Richard slipped up big," she said, her voice sharp. "Their road violates federal agricultural land laws, and the bank loans for Ridgeway Estates rely on forged surveys claiming your land was vacant. If we prove it's protected, the banks will pull funding." Anna had contacted a bank auditor who confirmed the $12 million in loans hinged on fraudulent documents. If Marcus could block the road and prove its illegality, the HOA's financial house of cards would collapse. Evelyn didn't slow down. She held a press conference outside City Hall, flanked by Richard, a 58-year-old white man with slicked-back silver hair, wearing a gray suit and white dress shirt. "We're safeguarding our community." Evelyn, a 58-year-old white woman with blonde curled hair, wearing a beige business dress and pearl necklace, declared, her voice dripping with feigned concern. "This man is using his land to obstruct progress." The crowd murmured, some nodding, but Marcus stayed away. He knew words wouldn't win, this evidence would. He focused on fortifying his ranch, installing heavier gates and more cameras, each one streaming live to a secure server. The sabotage grew bolder. Marcus found more cut fences, with tire tracks from HOA vehicles leading to his cattle corral. One night, his cameras caught two men in hoodies spray painting "Leave Now" across his barn. He sent the footage to James, who confirmed it could trigger federal trespassing charges with fines up to $40,000 per incident. Marcus also checked the dam's irrigation channels, finding them clogged with debris, another attempt to disrupt his ranch's water supply. He worked late into the night clearing it, his hands raw but his resolve ironclad. His alliance with Henry Brooks and Maria Lopez strengthened. Henry, a 70-year-old black man with light brown skin, gray hair cropped short, wearing a green flannel shirt and brown trousers, brought old photos of his thriving ranch from the 1960s, watered by the same creek now diverted for Ridgeway's ornamental ponds. "This land was our life," Henry said, his voice heavy with loss. Maria, a 50-year-old woman with medium brown skin, short black hair, wearing a blue denim jacket and khaki pants, shared records of her farm's dependence on the creek before Evelyn's scheme dried it up. Both agreed to testify, their stories fueling Marcus's fight. Evelyn's tactics turned vicious. She sent private security to harass Henry, slashing tires on his old pickup and leaving threatening notes. "Sell or regret it." Marcus, hearing this, drove to Henry's rundown ranch, finding him staring at a broken fence, his face etched with defiance. "They think they can scare us," Henry said, gripping a hammer. "Not this time." Marcus clapped his shoulder, promising to stand together. He knew this was personal. Now Evelyn's hatred wasn't just about land, it was about who they were. Marcus contacted Daniel Brooks, Henry's grandson, a 30-year-old black man with short dreadlocks, wearing a white dress shirt and navy slacks, working at the state attorney's office. Daniel uncovered a bombshell. Richard wasn't just a city councilman, he was a silent partner in the construction company behind Ridgeway Estates, pocketing profits from every villa built. This conflict of interest could spark a state investigation. Daniel began digging, pulling bank records and emails showing Richard's shady deals. Then came an unexpected ally, Sophie Reed, a 32-year-old white woman with shoulder-length red hair, wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, a reporter for the Austin Times. Sophie had tracked Evelyn's schemes for years, revealing she'd been fined $1.5 million in Houston for similar land grabs targeting minority families. "She's a predator," Sophie said, her eyes fierce, and she picks on people she thinks won't fight back. Sophie agreed to publish an exposé, but warned Evelyn gets nastier when cornered. Sure enough, Evelyn hired a Dallas legal team led by Victor Grant, a 45-year-old white man with slicked-back brown hair, wearing a charcoal suit. They filed an emergency injunction, accusing Marcus of endangering public safety with his unlawful gait. Richard pushed for a city hall hearing, where Marcus faced a hostile crowd of HOA members waving community safety first signs. A woman shouted, "He's blocking our kid's school route, Marcus," seated calmly. "Let Anna take the lead." She presented the 1955 deed, federal lease, and sabotage footage, her voice cutting through the room. "This road is illegal, and the HOA's actions are criminal." Judge Thomas Reed, a 60-year-old white man with thinning gray hair, clearly tied to Richard, hesitated but couldn't dismiss the evidence under federal scrutiny. Daniel texted Marcus during the hearing. The state attorney's office had opened a probe into Richard's finances based on his construction company ties. The banks were also reviewing Ridgway's loans after Anna's fraud report. The pressure was crushing Evelyn and Richard, but they fought back. Evelyn staged a protest outside Marcus's ranch, with HOA members blaring megaphones, accusing him of terrorism. Teens from the neighborhood threw rocks at his barn, shattering a window. Marcus, furious but composed, reinforced his gates with steel posts, knowing the storm was his chance to prove the road's illegality. Sophie brought a game-changer, a leaked email from Richard's company, where Evelyn ordered contractors to clear out minority landowners to clean up the area. The email was dynamite, enough for a civil rights lawsuit. Marcus, Anna, and Sophie planned to release it with the exposé, timing it with the storm to maximize impact. But Evelyn struck first. She sent a letter offering $250,000 for Marcus's land, a fraction of its worth. "Take it and leave," it read, "or lose everything." Marcus tore it up, his resolve burning hotter. As the storm clouds gathered, Marcus stood by his gate, Samuel's journal in hand. He wasn't just fighting for his ranch, he was fighting for Henry, Maria, and every family Evelyn had crushed. He checked the cameras, ensuring they'd capture the road's flooding. But that night, a deafening crash woke him. He ran to the barn, heart racing, to find it engulfed in flames, orange tongues licking the sky. His horses screamed inside. Marcus grabbed a wet towel, instincts kicking in, and charged into the smoke-filled barn, coughing as he freed each horse, guiding them to safety just as the roof caved in. Flames devoured the barn, casting an orange glow across the ranch as Marcus Wright stumbled out, coughing, with his horses safe behind him. The roof collapsed in a shower of sparks, reducing his grandfather Samuel's hand-built legacy to ash. Rain began to fall, mingling with the smoke as Marcus stood frozen, gripping the wet towel, his eyes burning with more than just soot. Evelyn Carter's war had turned personal, and Marcus knew this arson was no accident. Sirens wailed as fire trucks arrived, too late to save the barn, but enough to keep the blaze from spreading. The sheriff, a grizzled man named Tom Hayes, pulled Marcus aside. "We found gasoline traces," he said grimly. "This was deliberate. We are investigating." Marcus nodded, his jaw tight, already suspecting Evelyn's hand. By dawn, the rain had turned the illegal road through Marcus's 120-acre ranch into a muddy quagmire, proving it sat on protected agricultural land. Marcus, a black man with dark brown skin, short black hair, wearing a dark blue button-up shirt and black jeans, stood by the wreckage, his resolve hardening. He called Anna Chen, who arrived with a tablet full of evidence. "The cameras caught two figures with gas cans," she said, her navy blazer soaked. "One's linked to Evelyn's security team. Anna, a 35-year-old Asian woman with long black hair and a high ponytail, wearing black trousers, had already sent the footage to James Turner at the Federal Land Management Office. James confirmed, This is arson on federal land. They're facing serious charges. Marcus met with Henry Brooks and Maria Lopez at Henry's rundown ranch. Henry, a 70-year-old black man with light brown skin, gray hair cropped short, wearing a green flannel shirt and brown trousers, clutched photos of his old cattle fields, his voice steady. They burned your barn, Marcus. They burned my hope years ago. We end this now. Maria, a 50-year-old woman with medium brown skin, short black hair, wearing a blue denim jacket and khaki pants, nodded fiercely, holding records of her lost farm. Their alliance, fueled by shared pain, was unbreakable. Marcus knew this fight was for every family Evelyn had crushed. Sophie Reed, the Austin Times reporter, a 32-year-old white woman with shoulder-length red hair, wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, published her exposé that morning. The headline screamed HOA targets, black families in land grab scheme. The leaked email, where Evelyn ordered contractors to clear out minority landowners, went viral, sparking outrage. Civil rights groups demanded a federal probe into Evelyn and Richard Carter's discriminatory practices. Social media exploded with "Daughter Justice for Marcus," and locals began picketing Ridgeway Estates, waving signs, "Stop stealing our land." Evelyn, a 58-year-old white woman with blonde curled hair, wearing a beige business dress and pearl necklace, fought back. She held a press conference outside City Hall, flanked by Richard, a 58-year-old white man with slicked-back silver hair, wearing a gray suit and white dress shirt. "This is a witch hunt," she cried, her voice shaking with staged indignation. "We're protecting our community from a dangerous man," but the crowd wasn't buying it. Reporters grilled her about the email, and Richard's face paled as he dodged questions about his construction company ties. At the next court hearing, the room buzzed with tension. HOA members, once Evelyn's loyal supporters, sat quietly, their community safety first signs gone. Anna, backed by Daniel Brooks, a 30-year-old black man with short dreadlocks, wearing a white dress shirt and navy slacks, presented a mountain of evidence: the 1955 deed, federal agricultural lease, sabotage footage, and the damning email. She also revealed bank records showing Richard funneled HOA funds to his company, a felony. Judge Thomas Reed, a 60-year-old white man with thinning gray hair, had no choice under federal scrutiny. He ruled the road illegal, revoked all HOA access to Marcus's land, and ordered an investigation into Evelyn and Richard. "This court will not shield fraud," he said, his voice heavy. The fallout was swift. Daniel's probe uncovered Richard's bribes to city officials, leading to his arrest for corruption, facing 10 years in prison. Evelyn, sued by banks for fraud, declared bankruptcy under $10 million in fines and damages. Ridgeway Estates construction halted, its 40 villas left as empty shells, but Marcus sensed a bigger shadow. Sophie uncovered a bombshell. The eminent domain push was tied to a federal transport corridor project, 17B, led by a developer named Troy Maddox, a 50-year-old white man with slicked-back blonde hair, wearing a navy blazer and no tie. Maddox, a silent partner in Richard's company, had orchestrated the HOA's land grab to clear the way for his mega-project, targeting rural black-owned properties. Marcus rallied his allies, Henry, Maria, and Daniel joined a town hall at the local Grange, where over 100 residents, ranchers, veterans, single parents shared stories of HOA harassment. Marcus, standing at a podium, his voice steady, declared, "This isn't just my fight. It's for every family they've tried to erase." The crowd roared, forming the Texas Land Guardians, a coalition to fight predatory HOAs. Their petition for stricter HOA laws gained 2,000 signatures in days, catching the eye of State Senator Clara Evans, a 45-year-old black woman with braided hair, wearing a red blazer. Clara called Marcus, "Your story's changing the game. I'm pushing a Landowner Protection Act," the bill, targeting fake easements and HOA overreach. gained traction, fueled by Marcus's viral story. But Evelyn's final blow came at night. Marcus found a drone buzzing over his ranch, dropping a note. "You'll regret this." His cameras caught it, and James traced the drone to Maddox's company. Marcus, Henry, and Sophie planned a counterstrike, a press conference on the ranch, live-streamed to thousands, under a bright Texas sun. Marcus stood by his new steel gate, holding Samuel's journal. "This land is our blood," he said. As cameras rolled, no HOA, no developer, no government will take it. The crowd locals, activists, even former HOA members cheered. Sophie's live stream hit 1 million views, and donations poured in for the Texas land guardians. The legal hammer fell. Maddox, exposed as the mastermind, faced federal charges for fraud and conspiracy, his empire crumbling. Evelyn, bankrupted and disgraced, fled Austin. Richard's company folded, and he was convicted, his political career ashes. The ranch began to heal. Marcus rebuilt the barn, stronger, with help from neighbors. Henry's fields bloomed again, irrigated by the restored creek. Maria's farm, repurchased by Marcus at auction and returned to her, thrived. The Texas land guardians grew, protecting dozens of families from HOA abuse. Clara's bill passed, cementing Marcus's legacy. Marcus stood by the creek one evening, Samuel's journal in hand, a jar of its water by his side. Peace settled over him, but a new letter arrived, unmarked. "This fight's not over." Marcus smiled, unafraid. He'd faced fire and won, whatever came next. He was ready, backed by a community that wouldn't break. Thank you for following this story. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below. If you'd like more inspiring stories about justice and resilience, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll be back tomorrow with another must-see story you won't want to miss.